Hello, and thank you very much for watching. I'm afraid it's been a while since I uploaded a video. It's probably been about 7 months now, but various reasons really. But hopefully we're rolling again now. And for today's video, I've brought you to the Hyde in Kinver, where there's a considerable amount of hidden history here. So that's what we're going to take a look at just now. Richard Foley leased the Hyde fulling mill in 1627. He set about converting it into an iron slitting mill and employed his brother-in-law George Brindley to manage it until around 1647. In 1647, George's son Richard bought Hyde Farm and the mill and continued to operate it from then on. Now, for those of you local in Kinver will be very familiar with the names of Foley and Brindley, I'm sure. Well, if you didn't know, this is where those names originated from this mill here, and from the iron industry too. The slitting mill here has often been credited as being the first of its kind in Britain, and the technique, according to legend, was stolen by Foley when he lived for a few years in Holland, where, disguised as a flute-playing jester, he gained access to a mill there and observed the technique. However, there are different versions of the myth, one including him playing a fiddle rather than a flute, and the nickname Fiddler Foley. There are also versions that show this actually taking place in Sweden or even Russia. And then there are further versions that claim it was actually Brindley who observed the technique in the same manner in Germany before bringing it back to this country. In reality, there'd actually been an iron slitting mill built in around 1590 in Dartford by Godfrey Box, and another such mill at Crayford in Kent in 1597. A patent for slitting iron into rods was obtained by one Clement Daubeny of London in 1618. So all of that predates Foley and Brindley, and is likely to show us that actually this story of the wandering minstrel is just a myth. A slitting mill basically cut bar iron into rods for nail making. A piece of bar would be cut off using water-powered shears. This would then be rolled into a thick plate, then finally passed through grooved rollers that slit it into rods, making it suitable for nail making. Of course, Kinver was renowned at that time for its nail industry, so obviously this is where they sourced their materials for producing nails locally. I don't know if anybody spotted any relics yet. You have to be careful not to be confused by the Kinver Light Railway relics which still remain here. There's another inspection pit there from the sheds. Now, the Brindleys continued running the ironworks until unfortunately they were declared bankrupt in 1731. The iron mill, however, did continue in further ownership. Works here were carried on by a Mr. Humphreys from around 1832, until about 1832, and then from 1832 onwards they were carried on by Hunt and Brown. Hunt and Brown were also succeeded by Leon Bolton, who unfortunately also went bankrupt in 1868, and they were finally succeeded by a Mr. Firmstone. Now, he continued the works until its demise in around 1883. In 1883, the works finally closed down and were demolished around about 1890. Now, in the meantime, the Kinver Light Railway was under construction, or certainly been in planning stages, and in fact they chose this location to build their tram depot for Kinver. And I've actually done a video all about the Kinver Light Railway and what happened to the tram depot and the tram sheds, so I'll leave a link in the description if you haven't seen it before and might want to take a look at that. And there's a follow-up to it as well which shows you what happened to the tram sheds after the closure as well. So there you are, just a few relics here of the tram sheds. So the opening of the Staffordshire Worcestershire Canal in 1771 must have been a major boost to the ironworks here, running right alongside it, which I'm sure wasn't by accident. I'm sure that must have been planned, because I would have hoped that that would have helped with the prosperity of ironworks, bringing in raw materials, taking product out. But unfortunately, obviously, even that wasn't enough to save it in the end. Now, unfortunately, no matter how hard we look around in these woods, we're really not going to find any relics of the old ironworks, with the exception of something I'm going to show you in a minute, really. But other than that, no, I really don't think that anything remains now. There's some big mounds along the side of the canal here, which may be the remains of the demolition rubble from there. I don't know. There could be some interesting archaeology in there, I guess. But as for the actual works itself, no, I'm afraid nothing exists anymore. Or does it? Now, I've lived in Kinver for a very long time, and I've always been under the impression that absolutely nothing remained of the ironworks here at the Hyde, until I was studying an old photograph recently, when I noticed some striking similarities. This is Hyde House, private residence now, on the corner here, and if you look at those roof lines and the shape of it, it's actually remarkably similar to the building at the end, on the left, if you like, in this old drawing. Now, unfortunately, I don't know for certain, and haven't been able to find any info out to ascertain whether really this private residence Hyde House actually is built within the remains of the ironworks here, or whether it's a more modern building that just simply replicates the shape and style of the building. I really don't know. As I say, I can't find any info out, but there's certainly a striking resemblance there, so maybe somebody out there knows. We also should be careful not to confuse this Hyde House with the original manor house, which is a bit further up the track, where the Brindley family used to live. That big manor house type building was demolished many years ago. After the Brindleys finished with it, it was used as the Bethany home for crippled boys at one time. But as I say, it no longer exists now. I believe there's a dovecote there, which used to be part of the manor house, but that's pretty much all that there is. So we'll move on, and we'll have a look at what remains of another site. Now, going back in time again, on the corner of the Sutting Mill, or adjacent to the Sutting Mill, there was a corn mill, and this was leased by Joseph and Thomas Parks, who were spade manufacturers. And in 1865, it was passed on to another Thomas Parks, who was also a spade and shovel manufacturer. In 1888, it was taken over by Isaac Nash and Sons, known as the Edge Tool Works, and this place actually remained until 1912. Now, on this corner of the site, which I'm not sure whether it's private property or not, to be quite honest with you, but it is open, this is where the spade works was located, and there are actually a lot more relics of the spade works than there are of the actual ironworks. So just have a mooch around, and I can try and show you some of the bits and pieces that are still here. I have to be careful around here, by the way. There's a lot of old waterways, sluices, and bits and pieces that are long abandoned and derelict. If we take a mooch around over here, I'll show you some of the remains of the spade works. Here we go. It's actually all still here. can't tell you what this particular bit was or anything like that, but I can show you a photograph. Old water route there by the looks of it. Rather substantial piece of iron there. Not sure what that's blocking off. Perhaps another waterway maybe. So yeah, let's just continue our wander around the old spade works site. I think there's something else just down here as well, so just bear with me while I walk around and try not to fall into the river at the same time. There you go. That's the other end of that culvert that you saw just now. Fortunately, he's not really much hope of seeing anything inside there or getting inside there. But, see a lot of brickwork remaining. I think there's more over here as well. Here we go, yeah. More waterways, probably. Culverts for the water for running hammers, for instance. Probably being water powered. Oh, here we go. That's a nice look at this. Fantastic. Yeah, wow. Got a light somewhere. Let's just try that and see what that shows up. So there you are, some interesting relics and machinery in there. I hope the camera's picking it up. Got a light on it. Let's hope that you can see. That was that other side of that iron sheet that I showed you a little while ago. Fortunately, there's a lot of rubbish in there. I don't think that could continue very far because it would end up in the river. So there you go. But yeah, fascinating. Yeah, in fact, this opening that I've just looked at with the wheel and machinery inside, it just opens up here on the other side, and I would say almost certainly this was a route through to the river, which is just across here. Look. Right, well, I'm just going to cross over this rather nerve-wracking looking bridge here. Hope it's nice and solid. Well, at least it didn't collapse on me. So this was there's a lake just off here, or a pond I suppose you call it, I don't know, mill pond, which the River Stour was diverted to make the pond and then splits into two to serve the mills. You're looking across now from the other bank at spade works there, or what's left of it. There's more look like water culverts or something probably sticking out there, look, showing there. So the iron mill and the spade mill were both obviously water powered. I'm just going to head over this way and see if there's any signs remaining in this direction. I think this is the remains of the mill pond here. I thought it was more obvious than that, which probably looks like it's dried out now over the years. Here goes, a bit more here to be seen. Nice bit of sunlight shining across there. Let's have a look where that goes. Again, interesting detail in the walls there. With a sort of sluice or valve of some sort, I suppose, to control the flow from the pond. I can only assume that this must have been the pond. There's a bit more brickwork there hiding in that tree. Some now fallen. Nice sort of arch shape there. That's the entrance into that feature that we just looked at. Lots of old bits of very old looking brick lying around as well. So it's such a shame that it was demolished. Mind you, having looked at some pictures of it in its latter stages, it looks like it was in quite a bad state of repair. So it probably would have fallen down if it wasn't knocked down. Yeah, I'd say this was the mill pond, although it's now really dry. And in fact, if you move over here, it probably extended further over here as well. Bit of old tile there in the root of that upturned tree. So I guess that's it for today. I'm due to meet my friend Andy in the cross very shortly, so I'm pretty much out of time. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, found it interesting. If you have, please don't forget to click on that like button, to leave a comment in the comment section, and also to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All that will help the channel to grow and to keep me producing videos. If you're interested in the Kinver Light Railway, I showed you the remains of the tram shed earlier on. There's a video on that on my channel. I'll put a link in the description for you to click on. And there's also a follow-up video to that which shows what happened to the tram, or to the tram sheds rather. There's also lost pubs of Kinver, and one of those lost pubs is actually very close to where I'm standing now, and was here for the workers at the spade works and at the ironworks. So I guess that's it for today. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Cheers.